Hey guys, it's me, Amaterasu, back with another part 2, Shinachiku's first adventure. Anyways, I don't have much more to say besides sorry for not uploading the other videos I needed to yesterday, but anyways, without further ado, roll the intro.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Boys, my wheels got in my bag and I got out my field. I'm getting this paper, I'm stacking a meal. I'm with your hoe in the house on the hills. Yeah. I'ma keep it real, at the sacrifice to try to get my bands up. Shorty wanna fuck with me, she see me on the camera. She said she in love with me, but really I can't stand her. She just want part of this life cause she see me on the ground.
Chapter 14, Out of the Shadows, Into the Light. Naruto and Sakura found themselves on the border of the Fire Country and the Land of Sound. There was a gigantic scar formed in the earth there, created long ago in a great battle between Konoha's founders, the first Hokage himself, Hashirama Senju, and the fallen leader of the Uchiha clan, Madara Uchiha. Those two former friends had founded the Hidden Leaf village together in hopes of promoting peace, but disagreements over how to achieve that peace ultimately led to a battle that would become the stuff of legend. The valley itself was carved out of the earth by Hashirama's top transformed Buddha technique, leaving an enormous gash that would go on to be called the Valley of the End. The waterfall that had formed here served as the border between the two neighboring countries. On either side of the waterfall were two gigantic statues, each as high as a mountain. The stone figures stood facing each other with their hands in the traditional seal of confrontation. On the side that was still the Land of Fire stood the towering sentinel of Hashirama Senju. On the other side of what would one day become the Land of Sound stood the traitorous Madara Uchiha, or at least they would have been there. Unfortunately, this was not the first time Naruto had ever been to this place. Years ago, when he was only about 12 or 13 years old, he had been forced to chase his best friend Sasuke to this very spot after his friend had made the choice to defect from the village to join with the fallen Sannin Orochimaru. Naruto tried to prevent it, but inevitably the two were destined to fight in this place, just as their ancestors had done generations before. Their battle was long and epic, ultimately ending with both of them using their greatest techniques against each other, Naruto's Rasengan and Sasuke's Chidori. The battle ended with Sasuke as the victor and moderate damage done to the statues. Naruto had failed to keep his promise to bring Sasuke back home to Sakura that day, and he swore to get stronger to make up for that failure. Years later, mere moments after achieving victory against Kaguya in the Fourth Shinobi World War, Naruto and Sasuke would fight here once again, this time for Naruto to stop his friend's clouded vision of a revolution. A world without the Kages governing it and where he alone has taken on all of its hatred, seeing Naruto and the tailed beast chakra within him as the only thing left that could stand in his way. Thus, the two friends fought once again, this time with the full extent of each of their powers, and this time leaving both statues almost completely destroyed. By the end of the battle, all that remained of the two stone warriors were two hands, one from each statue, forming the seal of reconciliation, a fitting, if incredibly convenient symbol of the two of them finally putting aside their lifetime of differences. Even more ironic, it was at the end of this battle that both young men lost their respective arms, Sasuke his left, Naruto his right. But of the two of them only Naruto ever agreed to Tsunade's offer to use Hashirama's cells to grow his missing limb back. Naruto hated being in this place. So many terrible memories bubbled to the surface from merely being here. He had no plans to dwindle here too long and instead to continue onward towards Otogakure. But the most bizarre part of it was that this time he was here alone with Sakura. Every other time he visited here it was for a fight to the death. So being alone in this place with the woman he loved felt awkward. For Sakura's part, she didn't like being here either. She never bore witness to either of Naruto and Sasuke's duels here, but the scars they left her both times have never faded. It was here that Sasuke, her first love, crossed a point of no return and abandoned the Land of Fire to begin his quest for vengeance that defined the rest of his youth. It was here that Naruto nearly lost his life, to the very man she used to love, and all because she had begged him to make that stupid, selfish promise. She swore that next time he would not have to bring Sasuke back alone, and so she trained for 2.5 years to be ready for when they reunited again. And yet, after the war was over, despite how far she had come and how much she and Naruto had been through, including an attempt to free him from his promise in the form of at the time, fake confession of love, the two men in her life were fated to battle here again. She had tried to stop it, to plead to Sasuke both in unrequited love and in anger over what he had become, to put his hatred aside and come back home. His response was a genjutsu of him stabbing the poor girl to death. She came out of it and, her sensei Kakashi in tow, arrived at the devastated valley to find their battle already over and both boys missing an arm. She used what chakra she had left to heal them, but knew that growing whole limbs back would take skill that she did not have. It was also here that she finally got her apology from Sasuke, but even though she did forgive him, it just didn't feel like she imagined it would. Both of them felt so many memories flooding back to them, as they both turned to each other. Naruto? Naruto said nothing for several seconds, his memories both of this place and of everything that has happened the last couple of days crowding his mind. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he could barely get out a response just loud enough for Sakura to hear. Let's get the hell out of here. With that, the two of them continued north to the land of their old enemy. All the while Naruto had a single thought on his mind. The Valley of the End. Both our ancestors and me and Sasuke's fates were decided there. I hope that no one from our clans ever face each other in that place again. Aragi, interim Hokage of Konoha, was sitting in the Hokage's office, the office that had once belonged to the very person who his top jonin were searching for now. He had his emotions hidden so no one who looked at him could tell what he was thinking, if he was thinking anything at all. At the moment he was filling out all of the paperwork at his desk, taking breaks to sip from a cup of coffee. This kept going until he heard a tapping outside of his window. He turned to the source of the tapping and found a pair of leaf shinobi, garbed completely in black, with masks covering their entire faces save for their eye areas. Aragi didn't make his move for a moment, but then, as if he were slightly afraid to rub these shinobi the wrong way despite the circumstances, he proceeded to open the window to let them both in. The two ninja, a male with bright blue eyes and a female with violet eyes, stood before the Hokage's desk. Want some coffee? Aragi asked. Neither of them did or said anything. Aragi took another sip from his cup and figured he ought to get down to business. The timetable has moved. Our window is limited. 2 targets, level 6. I've already sent Odaku after him with a 10-man squad, but I'm beginning to doubt that even he is enough to deal with them. And the ones selected to form his team, well, let's just say that this is a test to see if their loyalty can be proven. If they carry out orders without question, then there may still be use for them. If not, there are solutions to such problems. Consider yourselves the backup plan in case they fail. I want confirmed capture or death by the time mission is completed. I trust that you two of all people are equipped to handle this. There's no way that Naruto will raise a finger against you. What about the girl? The woman asked coldly. She is being kept safe for the time being. She'll serve us well in the end. And the boy? The woman asked again. He's doing our job for us. Let's leave him be for now. Understood. Is there anything else? The man asked coldly. No, just be on alert and do your jobs. Dismissed. The two masked ninja exited the office the way they came, allowing Aragi to get back to work once again, until he heard a knock at the door. Yes. A familiar, attractive middle-aged woman with short black hair and wearing a black gi opened the door. Excuse me my lord, but I thought I heard voices coming from inside here and I didn't have anyone listed on your schedule for this hour. No, it was nothing Shizune. I was just rehearsing a speech. Shizune did not do or say anything for a moment. Oh, alright then. I think my lunch break is nearly here anyway so. That's alright, you can go ahead and go. Arigato, my lord. Shizune closed the door behind her, silently contemplating what she had just heard. Naruto, Sakura, Hanami, Shinachiku, I've got to inform the others, now. Shizune took off out of the Hokage Tower through the academy in search of the exit. She needed to warn Lady Tsunade, Kakashi, and anyone else that would listen of what was going on. Inside his office, Aragi sat contemplating. Well, this could be a problem. Shikadai was stunned at what he was seeing. The squared-off hole in the ceiling did indeed lead to a room with 4 heavily padded walls and no doors or windows. What stunned Shikadai was that there was one other person inside the room, exactly the person they were looking for. Hanami was sitting in the middle of the room, bruises all over her. Some of the poor girl's clothes appeared to be ripped, clearly from being in a struggle. The girl was crying, hard, and depending on however long she may have been in here, she may have been crying for several days. Shikadai and Hanami had never been close or anything, but her brother was one of his closest friends, and she was only 7 years old. Seeing a little girl in a horrific situation like this brought the boy's piss to a boil. He crawled back down to tell the others. Well, what did you see? Asked Chacho. She's here. Hanami? Asked Suki. Yeah, she's all alone up there, and she looks to be in bad shape. Her clothes are all torn and she's got bruises all over her body. The other kids all got really scared and really angry all at once. Hanami was one of the sweetest kids they knew, and they all knew how much Shinachiku loved her. If somebody hurt her in any way, then her family was going to gut them any which way they could. Anything else? Inojin asked. She'd crying. I don't know how long she's been down here, but she may have been crying ever since her parents left. That poor girl, Barandon said with sympathy. Is she alone? Okami asked with a clear tone of anger in his voice. Yes, I don't see any Anbu or shinobi up there with her. We need to get to her. Wait, Bagu interrupted. If she's all alone and there are guards outside the house, then this could all be some sort of trap. But we must do something, Barandon countered. Barandon's right, Shikadai said. Trap or not, we've got a little girl up there, our friend, who needs our help. Besides, the walls are heavily padded and it is a panic room. I'm pretty sure the room is soundproof. Be careful when you get her attention. She's probably really scared, Suki warned. I know. With that, Shikadai leapt up to grab the sides of the opening again and pulled himself back up. PSST. Hanami, can you hear me? The pink-haired, blue-eyed girl opened her eyes and looked in the direction of the voice. Tears long since stained her face. Who's there? It's Shikadai. I'm here with Inojin, Chacho, Okami, Suki, Bagu and Barandon. We all came here looking for you. Does anyone else know you're here? And no, I don't think so. Okay, just wait there, we're all coming up. Shikadai signaled for the others to follow him up into the room as he pulled himself up. One by one they all pulled themselves out of the tunnel and into the secret room. The two girls instinctively ran over to Hanami and embraced her in a hug, a maternal instinct kicking in even at their young age. Thank goodness you're safe, we were so worried, Suki said. Tell you what, sweetie, as soon as we get ourselves out of this mess, Anko-sensei and I will treat you to all the dengo you can eat. That will make you feel better, Chacho said. Where's my mommy and daddy? Hanami asked in worry. The bad men said that they were traitors. We don't know, Inojin said. They fled the village and our parents were put on a 10-man squad to find them. Barandon decided to step in, but fear not Hanami, for neither we nor our parents believe that they are truly corrupt. Most assuredly our parents will bring them back to the village upon learning the truth of this dreadful conspiracy. Hanami could just stare at the green-clad boy, still sad. Okami elbowed the big-eyebrowed Jinan with the black mop top. Hey Barandon, use less pomp and circumstance next time you want to make her feel better. Go men. How did you all know I was here? Hanami asked. Your brother confided in me the purpose of the tunnel leading to this room after I stumbled across it in training one day, Bagu answered. Anyway, Shikadai interrupted, Hanami, we're all glad you're safe, but we need to know what happened to you and how you got here. Hanami, clearly with some pain in her heart, recalled the memory of what happened the day that her parents disappeared. And so children, who can tell me all three prohibitions that if unchecked may one day bring a shinobi to his or her ruin? The instructor saw a hand quickly rise up in eagerness. Yes, Hanami? Shino-sensei, the three prohibitions are alcohol, money and sex. That's correct, although you really didn't need to be so blunt about that third one, Hanami. One of her classmates called out, hey, as often as her parents do it, who can blame her? The whole class laughed at the boy's perverted joke, much to Hanami's embarrassment. All right, that's enough. Shino called out to bring the class to order. Now then, can anybody tell me? Shino was cut off by a door swinging open and a squad of armed Anbu storming in. What's going on? Shino asked. Pardon the interruption, Aburame-sensei, one of the Anbu answered, but there's been a disturbance and we need to put the academy on lockdown. We need you and the children to come with us immediately. Has anyone informed the Hokage yet? Aburame-sensei, I'm afraid Lord Hokage is the disturbance. What? We've no time to explain right now, please come with us. Shino turned to his students. All right class, everyone stay in single file as we get to the safety area. Don't be frightened, everything's under control. The students all got out of their seats and lined up to exit the building. But as the children began exiting the classroom, Hanami, who happened to be the last person in line, was grabbed by one of the two Anbu guarding the doorway, gagged with the Anbu's hand over her mouth to keep her from screaming for help, and quickly poked with a syringe containing some sort of red liquid. At the same time, the other Anbu produced a clone that then performed a transformation jutsu on itself to perfectly replicate Hanami, its chakra signature precise enough to not draw too much attention. The fake Hanami exited the classroom to join her classmates. Hanami, don't fall behind. Shino said, we don't know what's going on but we need to stick together. Gomen Shino-sensei, Hanami apologized, the Anbu were just letting me know that my dad was going to be alright. Oh, okay then, just don't wander off. As the imposter Hanami stayed with her group, the Anbu dragged the real Hanami with them out of the window, her mouth still covered to muffle any screams for help. Once outside the building, Hanami stepped on her handler's foot, causing him to yell in pain as she broke away. The other Anbu tried grabbing for her, but she was able to use her taijutsu training to block his blows. Barely, She was still an academy student after all. And yet, she was also the daughter of Naruto Uzumaki and Sakura Haruno, so even at 7 years old, she wasn't going to go down without a fight. Alright, let's see how you guys handle this. She pumped chakra into her fist and slammed it into the ground. Sharano. The ground barely shook. What? I don't get it. Mommy taught me how to do this, so why isn't it working? The Anbu smirked to themselves as they approached the girl. Alright, that's it. She tried gathering her chakra again, this time into her hand. Nothing was happening. What was I thinking? I got Oni-chan to show me how he does the Rasengan, but daddy still hasn't taught it to me yet. The girl was getting scarred now as the two Anbu kept coming. My daddy is going to beat you both up for this. Ha! One of the Anbu laughed. Your mother and father are traitors to the village. We've got teams of ninja going to arrest them right now. The blood drained from the girl's face. No, you're lying. Afraid not, kid. Now why don't you come with us and make this easy on yourself? The Anbu grabbed her arm and she was forced to rely on her taijutsu again to break away. But both Anbu used their years of training in ninjutsu and taijutsu to hold the spunky girl off. The result was a truly gruesome sight, the cute, kind, lovable daughter of two of the ninja world's greatest heroes getting beaten to a pulp by two of her village's own ninja. The pain was terrible, or at least the worst that she's ever had to go through up to that point. The Anbu were leaving her beaten and bruised, her clothes tearing from all of the carnage. She needed to get away, but how could she when they had her pinned to the ground, her chakra barely working, and in this much pain? She had been taught that a lady should never do this unless she had no choice, but that time was clearly now. Hanami extended both of her fists and punched both men hard in their groins. Ag. Both men were forced to grab their crotches in pain and Hanami got away, limping as fast as she could move. She was lucky she had enough time make it out of the Anbu's sight before they recovered and came running after her. Even for a little girl, she knew that she needed to do something drastic to get away. Then she remembered how these Anbu had tricked Shino-sensei into thinking she was still with the group. So, using all of the control and willpower she had, she gathered what precious little she had left of her rapidly draining chakra and made a familiar hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. In a puff of smoke, an identical copy of Hanami appeared. As the real one ducked somewhere the Anbu would not find her, the clone stood behind for the Anbu to catch up to. So, one of the traitors said, "Thought you could get away from us, huh?" He backhanded the poor girl. "You little bitch. Come on," the other Anbu said as he grabbed her arm. "You're coming with us to a safe house until we can find a use for you." As the Anbu dragged the clone away, the real Hanami started moving, doing all she could to stay out of sight, until she made it clear out of the main village and back to her house. There were already guards outside blocking her way in. But then she remembered something her parents had showed her and her brother when they were kids. She sneaked over to a small grassy hill and lifted a wooden panel covered in grass. The panel hid a secret tunnel to a panic room hidden in the basement level of her house. She got inside and closed the panel before any Anbu noticed anything. Hanami, beaten and bruised, was forced to stumble through darkness as the tunnel kept going, until at last she saw a light at the end of the tunnel, which came from a square opening in the ceiling. This was the only way in or out of the panic room short of her dad's flying thunder god technique or taking some really drastic measures. Using what strength she had left, she pulled herself up and crawled into the middle of the room. She stayed there for days crying, about her pain, about her parents, about her brother, about everything. Hanami broke into tears again as she finished her story. The kids all felt several emotions at once. Horror at all this little girl was put through, wonder at her level of resourcefulness for her age, and anger at the ones who did this to her. No words were said as all of them were drawn to her like a magnet, enveloping Hanami in a hug. "Do not worry, Hanami, we shall get you out of here," Brandon promised. "I really hate to be the pessimist here," Bagu said, "but that might be difficult, given that the only ways out are by either going back down the tunnel, which may have the guards waiting for us on the other side for all we know, or by blowing up one of these walls, which will immediately call attention to ourselves." I hate to admit it, but Bagu's got a point. And quote. Shikadai confessed, "Geez, this is troublesome. So what do we do now?" Chacho asked worriedly. Shikadai, who had led them all this far and helped them all succeed in finding Hanami, who was the son of the Hokage's advisor and one of the most brilliant strategists of his generation, could only come up with one response to that question. "I have no idea." The two lovers had officially crossed into the land of sound. They knew what they were looking for, but actually finding one of Orochimaru's hidden factories was still no easy task. "Do we have any idea what we're doing here?" Sakura asked. Orochimaru wasn't the kind of person to reopen one of his hidden laboratories once it's been discovered. "No," Naruto answered, "but if I can hone in on a nearby chakra signature, maybe that can help." "Oh, you mean when you enter Sage mode?" "Yeah. And quote. Naruto looked at his wife and saw something was bothering her. "What's the matter?" "If you can sense people's chakra from far away, Why didn't you try using it back home to find out where Hanami was? I tried that, but somehow I couldn't detect her chakra anywhere no matter how hard I focused. It was like she had no chakra at all. I don't get. Naruto stopped his explanation when a realization came over him. He turned to Sakura and saw that her mind was headed the same way. She pulled out the syringe of red liquid she carried on her. Oh my god, Sakura gasped, before grasping the syringe and nearly breaking it. If those bastards lay a finger on my little girl Sakura, Naruto interrupted, we'll be back for her, but right now we need to first complete our mission. Sakura pocketed the syringe again and sighed, fine. With that, Naruto sat down on the forest floor, his legs crossed and his arms folded as he closed his eyes to meditate. There was no noise around save for the gust of the wind, the chirping of birds, and all other sounds of nature. The orange-clad ninja master remained completely still for several moments, taking in the natural energy around him as the toads of Mount Myaboku had trained him to do back when he was a teenager. After finally gathering enough natural energy, his eyes snapped open, revealing that they have changed from their familiar cerulean blue to a goldish yellow color, with the pupils represented as small black lines in the center. Around the outside of his eyes were orange markings. Do you have something? Sakura asked. Yes, I'm sensing a strong chakra about 500 meters from here, in that direction. And quad. He reached out and pointed the way, knowing that by moving he would stop his absorption of natural energy, thus cancelling out his sage mode. You plan on leaving shadow clones behind to absorb more natural energy while we go searching for whoever that chakra belongs to? Yep, let's go. Naruto got up and made a familiar hand sign. Leaving a clone behind to meditate, he and Sakura took off in the direction of the chakra source. After about 250 meters, Naruto's natural energy ran out, so he reverse summoned his clone to lend him the natural energy he absorbed. They made it to the source of the chakra signature and, after searching, they found it was coming from a small building, shaped more like a bunker. It was locked by a chain, but Sakura used her chakra-enhanced strength to simply snap the chain off. They opened the door to find a darkly lit flight of stairs. There was a conveniently placed torch burning on the wall, supposedly to provide light for whoever was down here. Like pretty much all of Orochimaru's hideouts, there was a vibe of creepiness to this place that could not be denied. Who do you suppose is down there? Sakura questioned. I'm not totally sure, Naruto answered, but either way we're not going to find the answers unless we go down there. Do you have any more natural energy left? No, actually it should be running out right about now. And quad. On cue, his eyes returned to normal and the boost of power the young man had received was gone. So long sage mode. Sakura smiled at him as she cupped the underside of his chin. Look on the bright side, you're way more handsome with blue eyes. Naruto actually blushed a little bit, thanks babe. Sakura showed her gratitude for his compliment by planting a loving kiss on her husband's lips. After parting, they both descended down the staircase, Naruto picking up the torch and holding it in front of him to light the way. When they made it to the bottom of the stairs, they found rows of desks, empty and covered in dust and cobwebs. I never pegged Orochimaru for an office guy, Naruto quipped. The couple kept searching, opening several more doors as they explored this underground facility. They came to one single door that led to a room filled with more desks and file cabinets. There were also 4 framed photos hanging on the far wall. Isn't that Orochimaru as a kid? Sakura asked, back when he was still a Leaf Village Genin? Yeah, back when he was trained by the 3rd Hokage, Naruto confirmed. That must be who the grown-up in the photo is. Then those other 2 kids. Naruto finished her sentence for her, pervy sage and Bakken. Wow, they're so young. Yeah, kind of like us when you think about it. Both of them were really close. Sakura thought back to what her former master had revealed to her the day before this whole mess started. You have no idea. What was that? Nothing. And quad. Sakura noticed the other photos on the wall. That one, that's him and Anko. Yeah, poor girl spent the rest of her life working to get out of her master's shadow. There was yet another photo. That's him and Kabuto. Must be from when they first met. I can't believe the damn snake would take pictures of all this, it's so unlike him. But it was the last photo that got to them the most. It was a picture of Orochimaru, Kabuto, and Sasuke. He was still young back then, and had a look of impatience on his face. He was dressed in his signature blue shirt and black shorts from when he was still a Genin, meaning this was likely taken soon after he first left the village. Neither Naruto nor Sakura could find words to say as they looked at the photo, so instead they just pressed on with their search. Naruto looked around at some old shelves, ones that might have held some of Orochimaru's scrolls or experimental equipment years before. He noticed something. There was a thin, open space in between 2 of the shelves that a gust of wind could be heard passing through. He also noticed while walking up to the shelf that the opposite side had left scratch marks on the floor. What is it? Sakura asked. I'm just curious, if you're already working in a secret laboratory. And quad. Naruto got his fingers in between the cracks and pushed. Just as he thought, the shelf slid to the right and revealed what it had been hiding. Why do you need to hide the stairs? Sakura was just as interested in this twist as her husband was as both of them descended down yet another flight of stairs. When they made it all the way down, they found an old, very dirty, yet surprisingly high-tech for its time, miniature laboratory. No doubt that the upper floor was mainly for office and living space, but this was a place where Orochimaru performed some of his real experiments. This equipment looks at least 30 years old, Sakura pointed out. These computers must date back at least to when we were kids. Indeed they do. It was not Naruto's voice that said that. Both of them turned to the source of the voice as a figure came out of the shadows. The person was a tall man garbed in a maroon-colored cloak with a hood that resembled a serpent's head, with white, red and yellow markings meant to resemble eyes. The man himself had scaly patterns on his face and had unkempt bowl-cut hair that was ash-gray in color. His onyx eyes also had purple markings on them. But the most striking feature was a long, white snake that protruded from the bottom end of his cloak because it was fused to his abdomen. Kabuto. Both of them shouted on sight. Kabuto Yakushi, traitor to Konohagakure and former spy and apprentice to Orochimaru, the snake Sanin, smirked and let out a brief chuckle to acknowledge his two unexpected guests. Naruto Uzumaki, son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, apprentice to Kakashi Hatake and Master Jiraiya, and former 7th Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village, born October 10th, ninja registration number 012607. He then turned to his other guest, Sakura Haruno, daughter of Kazashi and Mebuki Haruno, apprentice to Kakashi Hatake and Lady Tsunade, and former chief medical ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village, born March 28th, ninja registration number 012601. He put his head back in the middle, addressing them both. Both married at age 22, giving birth to 2 children, Shinachiku and Hanami Uzumaki. Kabuto put on a disturbingly large grin. It is good to see old friends again after so long. We're not your friends, Sakura asserted. Oh come now, let's not be mean. You are guests in my current residence after all, or did you come here looking for someone else? Not that it's any business of yours, Naruto answered rudely, but I sensed a chakra signature coming from this place while we were trying to track down one of Orochimaru's labs. Ah, I see, and you mistook my chakra for Lord Orochimaru's, yes? Naruto did not answer. Don't be embarrassed, ever since I absorbed some of my former master's cells and took on much of his appearance, my chakra has borne a striking similarity to his. So, how may I help you? Don't worry, I'm unarmed and my friend won't bite. Kabuto said the last part while petting the head of the large snake fused to his body. The pair looked at each other, silently asking each other if this was their best course of action, before turning back to face him. You probably already know that we've both been set up and chased out of our own village, right? Naruto asked, already knowing the answer, which was confirmed when Kabuto nodded his head. We've uncovered some evidence that might give us clues to what is happening back home, Sakura explained, and we needed to find a laboratory where we can perform an investigation. I see, well I can certainly help you with that. What kind of evidence have you brought exactly? Naruto pulled out his scroll while Sakura brought out both of her syringes filled with blue and red liquid. Kabuto's eyes widened only slightly. I see, so it has begun then. The couple reacted in alarm. What's begun? Naruto demanded. Taka's revolution of the entire ninja world, starting with their infiltration of the 5 great shinobi countries. What? Naruto shouted. That can't be, Sakura countered. Taka was disbanded after the war. Sasuke was reformed and he and Karen got married and had a daughter, and yet he also spent a great deal of time outside the village, didn't he? Yes, the old Taka, the 4-man squad that you knew, that Taka had disbanded. But in its place a new one has emerged, one far larger, working from within the shadows across our whole world to realize dear Sasuke's dream from the end of the war. A dream of a world without a cage system, only a world under its unified control, and now they have found the weapons that will make that dream a reality. Naruto's eyes practically bulged out of their sockets in realization. The chakra gems. Kabuto smirked. Precisely. No. Naruto shook his head in denial. No, you're lying. Sasuke is a changed man. He's our friend, not some madman leading some Akatsuki wannabe crime syndicate. Let me correct you right there, Naruto. The Akatsuki were a group of criminals that defected from their villages to enact their plans. Taka are a conglomerate of double agents working from within that system to eventually bring about its undoing. This can't be real. And quat. Sakura said, lost. Taka was originally founded by Sasuke merely to track down and help him get revenge on Itachi. By the end of the war they had changed much. They went from accomplishing that goal, to joining the Akatsuki to hunt down the tailed beasts, to aiding the allied shinobi forces during the war. But then Sasuke concluded that revolution was needed. No. And quat. Naruto said softly. The new Taka was founded on the belief that humanity could not be trusted with its own freedom. But what they had come to realize was that if you tried to take that freedom, tried to bring that world order down, they resist. The war taught them much. True change could not be done by conquest from the outside but from within. After the war, the allied shinobi forces continued and endured to this day. Peace. To Taka, this world's definition of that word is merely a stalemate until the next inevitable crisis. Thus, the new Taka grew, a beautiful parasite, inside the 5 great nations themselves. For 17 years, Taka has been secretly feeding crisis, weeping war. And when history did not cooperate, history was changed. That's impossible. The Kijis would have stopped them, Sakura objected. The Kijis have all been blinded by an era of peace. Naruto himself is living proof of that. And quat. Naruto was fighting to hold in the rage that was welling up within him. How do you know all of this? Sakura questioned. Because Taka came to me some time ago and told me all of this. They thought that I could be a valuable agent for them, but I had no interest in such things, so I refused. And quat. Kabuto paused for only a moment. Anyway, Taka has already infiltrated all of the hidden villages' ranks and developed a means to give them an edge against even the most powerful of shinobi. Once the 7 chakra gems are all found and brought together, Taka's new world order will arise. And quat. Kabuto turned to see the orange Hokage fuming with anger. Funny, you made it your life's mission to bring peace to this world and end the cycle of hatred, yet you were blind to the cycle of revolution that was brewing right next to you. You lost, Naruto. Your reign amounts to the same as your life. A zero-sum. Kabuto did not get to say any more as Naruto had finally lost control and landed a powerful left hook right into his jaw, knocking the snake man to the ground. Somehow, it made him feel no better. Kabuto merely collected his bearings and stood up again. As I was saying, Naruto didn't want any of this to go on any longer than it had to. What's in this scroll? Sakura followed suit. And what do these serums do? Kabuto answered. I think you already know the answer to the second question, Sakura. The blue serum is a special chakra shielding agent that allows someone who has it in their bloodstream to use their own chakra techniques, but provides a shield within range of the skin that nullifies the chakra of others. On the other hand, the red serum does to opposite. It nullifies one's own chakra reserves and leaves them totally vulnerable to others' chakra attacks. And what about the scroll? Naruto asked again. Does it contain the secret to how to make the serums? I'm sorry, but I don't know anything about that scroll. And that's the truth. Naruto sighed. Then he punched the wall in fury. God damn it. Naruto ... And quat. Sakura was his wife, his rock, his anchor in what was supposed to be his times of need, which was why it devastated her that she had no clue what to say to the man she loved in this moment. It was then that Kabuto interrupted. If you came here to examine those serums, maybe to develop an antidote, the lab is all yours. Say what? Sakura asked in confusion. That's right, go ahead. I don't care one way or another, unless you'd rather go find your son instead. And that's when it hit them. When pieces fell into place. When their worst fears came to light. Sasuke began Taka, and now Taka was back to try to take over the world and planning to use the chakra gems to do it. And right now Sasuke and Shinachiku were searching for one in the remains of the hidden whirlpool village. Son of a bitch, Naruto muttered under his breath. Naruto, Sakura asked in terror, you don't really think? I don't know, Sakura, I just don't know. And quat. Naruto clenched his fists. But one way or another, Sasuke and I need to have a talk. Shinachiku woke up the next morning. He was still a bit groggy after the blow that he took to the neck last night. Wait, blow to the neck, oh shit. He quickly looked around to see where he was. Sure enough, Sasuke was there staring at him. About time you woke up, kid, we've got work to do. Shinachiku would have retorted, had he not noticed somebody else next to his godfather. She was the same age as Sasuke was, a woman with a fit figure, crimson eyes, fair skin, and red hair which she wore in a strange manner, short and spiky on one side, while longer and straight on the other side. There was also a buzzing apparent on her left temple. Highlighting her eyes were a pair of brown glasses. She wore a lavender uniform that exposed her midriff, much like his Aunt Ino did, coupled with black pants with black sandals. She also carried a pouch around her midsection. While the boy could not see it, her clothes covered numerous bite marks, both from use of her heel bite technique and from special nights that she shared with her husband. Aunt Karen? Hello, Shinachiku, it's so good to see you again. And quat. The boy noticed there were still more people were there as well. One was a lean-built man with straight white hair with a light blue tint, purple eyes and pointed teeth like a shark. He was dressed in sleeveless purple shirt, blue pants, sandals, and a belt around his waist with water bottles attached to it. He also had another belt strapped to his chest to which he had attached a gigantic sword with holes in it. There was also a tall, muscular man with swept-up orange hair, red-orange eyes, a strong jawline, and who had a calm disposition. He was dressed in black pants, a pale blue shirt, and brown sandals. But it was the third person that alarmed the boy. "Hey kid, what's up? Remember me, Randamu? I fought you." "Yes I did, yes I did." "Stay away from me," Shinachiku demanded in panic. "Well, good to see you too, brat. And quad." The masked man then folded his arms and started muttering to himself. "Didn't bribe the author to bring me back into this fanfic just for this crap. Shinachiku." The boy felt a wave of surprise and relief at the sound of that voice. From behind his godparents came a girl his age with fair complexion, onyx hair and eyes. The hair she wore in a straight shoulder-length style. Her eyes were highlighted by a pair of red-rimmed glasses. She was dressed in a black vest adorned with the Uchiha clan symbol, which also had a small version of the Uzumaki clan symbol in the red portion, over a white button-up shirt with red trim, white shorts and black sandals. The girl ran out and embraced the blonde-haired boy in a tight hug. "Sarada?" Shinachiku asked, blushing. The girl, realizing the emotional outburst she just had, pulled back from the boy, blushing. Yeah, I mean, yes it's me. It's been a long time, Shinachiku." The boy smiled at her, blushing harder. "Yeah, it has." This caused the girl to blush just as hard while smiling warmly. "Alright you two, that's enough." Sasuke interrupted. "Shinachiku, this is Suigetsu and Hugo. They were teammates of mine when I was younger. Sarada and your Aunt Karen you know, obviously, and Randamu you met the other day. What's going on?" Shinachiku demanded. "What is this really all about?" Sasuke approached the boy. "Alright kid, you wanted answers ... and quad." Sasuke pulled out his sword, "And you'll get them." The boy got nervous, as did the girl who was still within inches of him. "Dad, what are you doing?" Chapter 15, Revelations and Complications. Sasuke Uchiha stood before his daughter and his godson, sword drawn. Sarada looked worried and confused. Why was her own father pulling his sword out at her and Shinachiku? Shinachiku was prepared for the worst. This was the moment when his godfather was finally going to give him answers, and already the Uchiha was showing his true colors. The blonde Jinan anticipated a sword strike that would surely end his life, but that sword strike never came. Instead, Sasuke stabbed his weapon into the ground at the boy's feet. To say the least, the boy was confused. "What are you doing, Dad?" Sarada asked in confusion. "Shinachiku," Sasuke began, "I know that I have not been entirely honest with you or your parents during this adventure. I regret that, but I had my reasons. You followed your shinobi instincts and were wise not to trust me. And quad." He sighed before continuing on. "I was hoping I could spare you from this, but it looks like things are going to have to change now." "What are you talking about?" Shinachiku asked. "What is going on? What was that thing you did with your sword just now?" "That," Sasuke gestured towards his weapon, "is a proof of trust. You know how powerful I really am, kid. I could have gutted a Jinan like you any time I wanted, but I didn't. If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead. But instead, I'm leaving fate in your hands." "Say what?" "If you want to be open-minded and hear me out, to trust me a little longer, then you're welcome to. If not, you've got a perfectly good weapon to strike me down with. Don't worry, I won't think less of you either way." Shinachiku, Sarada, even Karen was stunned at this sudden turn of events. Sasuke was literally inviting Shinachiku to murder him if he felt he couldn't be trusted. "Sasuke?" Karen shouted, but Sasuke merely raised his hand up to stop her. Suigetsu and Hugo didn't say anything, just looked on in interest at whatever was about to take place, though Suigetsu seemed to be watching in a bit more amusement. As for Randamu, he was sitting there enjoying all the tension as he pulled up the bottom half of his mask so he could snack on a bag of popcorn that he got from seemingly nowhere. This suspense is terrible. I hope it'll last. After a few silent seconds of not doing anything, Shinachiku at last began to speak. "You show up at my house out of nowhere to lure me on this crazy mission without my friends, my family, or even Konohamaru-sensei. You plot with this red-masked wacko behind my back while he tried to kill me. You apparently lied to me and my parents about you and Aunt Karen breaking up. And now you're telling me that you're okay with me killing you?" Sasuke smirked. "Yeah." Shinachiku stood up and grasped the blade. "There are so many reasons why I should." He stood still for what felt like an eternity, and then he let go of the blade. "But I'd rather not do that in front of your daughter, and I'd especially not want to leave Sarada without a dad." Sarada was left speechless. He was right, he was in a situation where he had every reason in the world not to trust them. Common shinobi sense mandated that he not pass up this golden opportunity to secure his own life's safety. And yet he was, for her. Besides ... and quad. Shinachiku continued, "My dad didn't work to end this world's cycle of hatred just to see his own son kill his best friend." Sasuke, in a rather uncharacteristic moment, put on a sincere smile as he decided to move forward. "Very good, let's move on then." Shinachiku sat back down next to Sarada, paying such close attention that he failed to notice the raven-haired girl's worried stare at him, as if she were silently hoping he would understand. Do you remember the unknown enemy that I told you was after the chakra gems? Sasuke asked. The boy nodded his head. Well, the truth is that I know exactly who the enemy is, Taka. Shinachiku's eyes widened in alarm. What? Then you guys have been trying to steal the gems this whole time? See, this is why I wanted to keep this a secret from you, Sasuke explained. Yes, Taka is collecting the chakra gems, but not the same Taka that I founded when I was a teenager. I don't understand. That's what I'm trying to explain if you'd be patient and let me speak. The boy frowned at that remark, while Sarada looked at him with sympathy. The original Taka that I founded after I betrayed Orochimaru was a 4-man squad, which I named Hebi, made up of myself, your Aunt Karen, and our friends Suigetsu and Hugo. He gestured to the 2 former missing nin, who each nodded and waved to the boy. The one-armed Uchiha continued. When I first brought this team together I did so to finally fulfill my dream of getting my revenge on Itachi, and I did. But after it was over I was taken in by another, Obito Uchiha, who I believed to really be Madara at the time. Back then he was working under the alias Tobi and was a member of the criminal organization known as the Akatsuki. He revealed to me the truth about what happened that night, about what was really behind Itachi's massacring of my clan. After that I was so consumed with revenge that I then swore to wipe out the Konoha leaders, and the village itself, for what it had done to my clan. We joined with Akatsuki out of convenience. They would help me to destroy Konoha, as Pain was readying to do anyway, and my team would help them in their hunt for the tailed beasts. That arrangement led us to attacking Killer Bee and earning the ire of the 4th Raikage. For our actions, we were branded international criminals across all the shinobi nations. As so we remained until the war came. After I had resurrected Orochimaru to help me in my goals, he in turn used the reanimation jutsu to bring back the first 4 Hokages, including your grandfather. They convinced me that the village was worth saving, so much so that I wanted to challenge your father to become the next Hokage. My team did their part in fighting off the enemy, and your parents and I pretty much saved the entire world all by ourselves. Sasuke sighed before he continued again, but, after that battle with Kaguya was over, my mind was clouded with delusion once again, this time for revolution. I wanted to seal the tailed beasts away and wipe out all the Kages, to create a world without governments, to start anew. I wanted to embrace my own loneliness and take on all of its hatred by myself, and I knew that your father was the only one who could stand in my way of that. Well, I'm sure you already know how our fight went after that. The boy remained focused, taking in all that he was being told. Admittedly, much of this he had already read in his father's book, but he paid close attention nevertheless. After the war, Sasuke began again. I had Taka disbanded as I finally agreed to return to the village to face judgment. I fully expected to either be given the death penalty or to spend the rest of my life in prison. But instead your father saved my life, literally, that day, and I knew that I needed to do something to make it up to him. I knew that I had much I needed to learn and perhaps more that I needed to do to make amends for a lifetime of mistakes. So after I left on my quest of redemption, I tracked down my old team and we set out to do some good in this world together. What I didn't see coming was that getting the band back together would also lead to me falling in love. Karen smiled warmly as she took her husband's hand. She then took her turn talking to her godson. It wasn't easy to be sure. We had a lot of things to work out first, namely one time he stabbed his Chidori straight through me just to kill Danzo. Poor Sasuke could only hang his head in shame at that moment. But we were able to work it out and here we are years later with a beautiful daughter at our side. Sarada blushed in flattery at her mother's compliment, something Shinachiku noticed and smiled at himself. So there we were, Sasuke continued. The original Taka was back together again to make amends for past sins, plus a 5th member in our ranks this time. Sasuke turned to face Randamu who merely gave a wave and a yo. As he kept eating his popcorn. And where did you find him? Shinachiku asked with a noticeable tinge of rudeness. Trust me on this kid, you don't want to know. Suigetsu answered for them. Sasuke, Karen, don't tell him. You shouldn't have told me, or Hugo. But you did. So now I'm telling you, Suigetsu pointed to the boy, you don't want to know. Shinachiku looked to Sarada in confusion. He's not joking, you don't want to know where we found him. Okay, so you guys aren't some evil organization trying to take over the world or something? No kid, Sasuke said. The original Taka was back together, but at the same time another one had emerged, a huge underground organization stealing the Taka name, no doubt both to pervert the ideas of revolution I once believed in and to plot for world domination and also to frame me, for their plans. Shinachiku was stunned. You're kidding me. No, I'm not. This new Taka is obviously much larger than my 5-man squad, and have been working in the shadows across our whole world since the end of the war. In the shadows? Within the 5 great shinobi nations themselves. They want to create a world without a cage system, yes, but instead under its own unified control. They have already developed weapons to make that dream a reality, and now they have learned about the ultimate weapons. Shinachiku understood, the chakra gems. Bingo, Sasuke confirmed. Now Shinachiku understood something else as well. That's why you lied to my parents about you and Aunt Karen breaking up. You didn't want to create suspicion or let anyone know they were helping you or to risk anyone coming after them in case this new Taka was found out. He turned to Sarada, you wanted to protect your daughter. Exactly, Sasuke smirked. You must have inherited your mother's brain, kid. Your father would be stretching every brain cell he has just to put that together. Hey, my dad is the greatest ninja in the world. He could kick you butt any day of the week. He then realized his outburst and turned to, of all people, the girl that was right next to him. No offense, Sarada. The Jinan merely shrugged her shoulders and adjusted her glasses, none taken. And quat. She didn't notice the vein of frustration that appeared on her father's head or the innocent chuckle from her mother. Okay, I think I've got all of this, the boy contemplated. Basically you got the old Taka back together to do some good in the world, but then you found out about a new Taka trying to take it over and that they want to use these chakra gems to do it. So you lied to everyone to keep Taka's identity a secret so no one would suspect you or your family of anything. Is that right? You've got it, Hugo spoke for the first time. Confusing, ain't it? Randamu spoke up, before turning to the side as if he were looking straight into an invisible camera, and who knows whether or not it's going to get any more confusing. Dumb. I have 5 questions though, Shinachiku interrupted. First, how long have you known about this new Taka group? Second, who's in charge of it? Third, why did you have Randamu try to kill me if he's working with you? Fourth, what was this attack on the village that you were speaking to him about over the microphone? And fifth, why do you need me here when both your wife and daughter have Uzumaki blood too? To answer your questions, kid, Sasuke began. 1. I've known something was up since I heard the assassin at your parents' first wedding say hail Taka after the 3 of us knocked him out. 2. I'm not sure how far Taka really goes, but I do suspect a certain someone at the top in pulling the strings within Konoha. For some reason Shinachiku was able to guess, Aragi? The Uchiha nodded his head. 3. Randamu's fighting with you was merely a test to see if you were even remotely ready for what may come. You are. 4. The attack I was speaking of is Taka and Aragi's final move to seize power of the Hidden Leaf Village, and I fear that it may also apply to the other hidden villages as well. And 5. The sources I've been told about told me that I actually needed 2 people with Uzumaki blood to unlock the seal, and Sarada insisted on us bringing you with us. The blonde-haired boy turned to the girl, who blushed in embarrassment. Sarada?
I just got worried about you, that's all, she tried to justify.
What if you were in the village while Taka did something dangerous? Shinachiku decided to go ahead and accept that rather weak explanation. Sasuke always wants to find ways to make amends with your father, Karen added. Our instincts told us that something big was coming and we all wanted you out of there in case it did. If we could have taken your daughter too, we would have, but she was just too young to be given a mission away from the village yet. Besides, Sasuke went on, I meant what I said back at your house, that this mission would be a good opportunity for you to get some real experience in the field, both of you. Huh? Shinichiku's head snapped towards the raven-haired, bifocaled girl. Yes, Shinachiku, you and Sarada are going to recover the chakra gem together. The 2 kids glanced at each and quickly turned away, both of them blushing deep red. It was Randamu who broke the ice. Oh, awkward exclamation mark and quat. Back in the panic room of the Uzumaki mansion, the children were caught between a rock and a hard place. If they headed back the way they came, there could be a platoon of Onbu guards waiting for them. The only other ways out were by using Hanami's father's flying thunder god technique, which none of them knew, or to blow up the wall, which would surely attract attention from outside, and that's assuming that there was no one searching the inside of the house for possible evidence to use against Hanami's parents. Well, we're all fucked, Okami shouted. Our options do seem limited, Inojin concurred. There's got to be something we can do? Chacho argued. Yeah, Shikadai assessed, but it looks like we may have to fight our way out of this mess one way or another. Okami, Suki, can either of you look through the wall to see if anyone else is down here in the basement level, or anywhere else in the house? I'll try it. And quat. Suki let go of the comforting hug she was still giving Hanami as she gathered her chakra into her eyes to activate her Keki Genki. Byakugan. The Izuzuka Hyuga girl scanned the rest of the basement level for any signs of more intruders. I'm seeing 2 Onbu down here. Let me guess, Bagu interrupted, they're trying to get into the vault? No. Perhaps they are meddling around in the furnace and the electrical room? Barandon guessed. No. Well, then they have to be in the storage room searching through boxes of the family's stuff, Shikadai had to assume. No, not that either. Then what are they doing? Chacho asked. They apostrophe re ... and quat. Suki couldn't believe it, they're raiding the wine cellar. All of the kids, Hanami included, had a dumbfounded expression and a sweat drop on their faces. To be fair, Inojin interrupted, my mom has said before that Lord Seventh and his wife's wine collection is the envy of the entire village. Dude, everything about this house is the envy of the entire village. Okami retorted, why else do you think that Hanami's dad chose to continue living here instead of moving into the Hokage residence after his coronation? Would all of you focus? Shikadai demanded to get their attention. Look, as much of a drag as this is, those two slackers outside are still blocking one of our ways out of here. Right now we're lucky these walls are soundproof and that you'd need the Byakugan to see through them, but that means that we now have only one other option to get out of here. They are turned toward the squared-off exit that they had entered from. I guess we have no choice, Bagu admitted. Wait, Suki yelled, somebody else is coming down the tunnel, 3 people. I can't make out who they are though. The kids all panicked. This was a disaster. It had to be Anbu heading their way, and such a threat may be too far out of their range for a ragtag group of Jinan like themselves. It would seem that we are at a disadvantage, Inojin pointed out. No. It was Hanami, poor, innocent, hurt Hanami that made that declaration as she struggled to stand up again. Hanami, stay down, you're badly hurt, and your chakra's not working. Chacho begged. No, my brother wouldn't get scared, and mommy and daddy wouldn't either. Whatever happens we can take him. The kids were all impressed by the little girl's sense of determination, just like Shinachiku, some of them thought. Alright, everybody stand together around Hanami. Shikadai ordered, keeping her safe in top priority. The kids all did as the Nara boy said, Barandon getting out some of the kunai hidden in his pouch, the twins both getting their Byakugans activated and into a gentle fist pose, Chacho covering Hanami's front, and Shikadai and Bagu getting into the familiar jutsu poses of their clans. They could feel the chakra getting closer and closer. Any minute now they would be face to face with whoever was down there with them. Some of the boys had lines of sweat dripping down their faces, but they paid no mind to it. This is it. Shikadai thought, whoever is here is going to come up through that hole right now. As if on cue, a pair of hands pulled themselves up and into the room. It was an older shinobi, retired, with spiky silver hair and a mask covering the bottom half of his face. A scar ran across his left eye, indicating that something must have happened to it long ago, and yet both of his dark eyes appeared perfectly fine. The man closed his eyes and smiled beneath his mask as he gave the kids a friendly wave. Oh hi there, I hope we didn't frighten you kids. Kakashi-sensei. They all shouted in relief. The copy ninja pulled himself up into the room, making way for 2 more guests who came up one after the other. One was a brown-haired man of similar age to Kakashi, but with a grimmer face and a sort of cracked metal helmet framing his head. The other was a much younger adult with brown hair, a handsome face and a large blue scarf wrapped around his neck. Captain Yamato, Konohamaru-sensei. Hey kids, Yamato addressed them. This is an unexpected surprise. Yeah, well, we came down looking for Hanami. Konohamaru bolted to the girl as soon as he saw her. He wrapped the girl in an almost fatherly embrace. Are you all right, dear? Kakashi and Yamato both looked horrified when they noticed the poor girl's condition. What happened here? Kakashi demanded. We figured out that Hanami's been missing since her parents disappeared, Shikadai explained, so we decided to try and find her. Bagu remembered Shinachiku telling him about this hidden room inside her house, so we thought it was worth checking out a lead. We found her like this, some of the Anbu beat the crap out of her and she instinctively came here to escape. They used some sort of serum on her so she can't use her chakra. She can't do what? Yamato asked shocked. That's correct, Inojin confirmed. She says the Anbu injected her with some kind of red serum that nullified her access to her chakra reserves. What are your 3 doing here? Okami asked. Shizune overheard our interim Hokage plotting something inside his office, mentioning something about Hanami being kept somewhere safe. And quat. Kakashi explained. As the one who originally informed Naruto that he was inheriting his parents' estate, I was one of the few who he trusted with telling about this hidden room he found. I guess we came to the same conclusion that you kids did. Kakashi-sensei, Bagu asked, did any of the guards outside happen to see the 3 of you when you snuck in here? No, Yamato answered, we took special precautions to make sure that we weren't noticed or followed. And right now we need to get out of here, Konohamaru said. Hanami needs a medic as soon as she can. Konohamaru-sensei, Suki spoke up, I saw with my Byakugan 2 Anbu behind that wall raiding the wine cellar. Well, the copy ninja replied, then we're just going to have to get out the way we came. That could result in the Anbu taking notice and capturing us as soon as we open the door, Yamato countered. True, but then again we're the famous copy ninja and son of the White Fang, an elite experiment by Orochimaru, and the heir to the Sarutobi clan. I'm sure we can make it through this. Well, you sure sound confident, Kakashi, Konohamaru noted. More optimistic than confident, but I suppose some of Naruto's never give up attitude must have worn off on me. Kakashi turned to the children. Alright kids, I need all of you to stay behind us as we scope out the outside. Hanami's safety is top priority, and if she really has her chakra blocked off, then it's going to be up to you kids to get her to Lady Tsunade and Shizune for healing. Is that understood? Hi. All the Jonin said in unison. Alright, let's get out of here. The Jonin went down into the tunnel first, followed by the Jonin. Hanami, limping in pain, was surrounded by the other kids shielding her. Do not worry Hanami, Barandon said, we will succeed in getting you out of this place and to a place of healing. What he said, Okami replied. Besides, your brother would be pissed off at all of us if we let anything else happen to you. Stay focused kids, we're heading down the tunnel. Yamato said. The group walked down the tunnel, the darkness lit by Barandon's miniature torch that he let Kakashi borrow. When they made it to the end of the tunnel, they prepared themselves for whatever might happen. Okami, Suki, tells us if you can see anyone up there, Kakashi ordered. The twins nodded their heads and did as they were told. Byakugan. The twins scanned the ground above them and Suki was the one that spoke. No Kakashi-sensei, there doesn't appear to be anyone standing over us. Fine, let's do this carefully then. Kakashi carefully lifted the wood paneling up and set it aside, allowing the light from outside to shine down into the tunnel. Kakashi pulled himself up and looked around for any Onbu guards. There was some patrolling the outside of the house and he calculated that there was no chance there would be enough time to get all of the company out without them ultimately being seen. A distraction was going to be needed first. Okay, everyone wait here, and whatever you hear, don't panic. Kakashi quickly pulled himself up out of the tunnel and replaced the wooden panel on the entrance. Then he leapt with his ninja speed to a nearby grass area far enough from the other location. He quickly set up a small paper bomb and leapt out of the bomb's blast radius and the enemy's line of sight. With a minute the paper bomb went off and created a small explosion. The blast had its intended effect and all of the Onbu patrolling the house immediately went to go check out the source of the explosion. Kakashi took the distraction as an opportunity to return to the tunnel entrance and open it back up. Kakashi-sensei, what the hell was that? Konohamaru asked. Paper bomb, for distraction. Now come on, we've got to move now. One by one, but with great sense of urgency, the company all got out of the tunnel without being seen by the Onbu. Hanami needed extra help get out due to the pain she was in. Kakashi sealed the entrance back up to avoid suspicion and they all got out of there as fast as possible with their chakra-enhanced speed. You know, Shikadai said, you could have just used your Chidori to wipe out those guards or used some other amazing jutsu of yours, Kakashi-sensei. Perhaps, yes, but there are alternatives to fighting. Now come on, we'll take you to where Lady Tsunade and Shizune are to get Hanami healed. Sakura was hard at work in the dark, gloomy lab that once belonged to Orochimaru. She was performing experiments on the samples of the 2 serums she carried. She didn't know why Kabuto was so willing to let them use the lab, but she needed to find a solution to this problem. An antidote to each of these serums so they could be ready in case either of them got injected, like Hanami might have been. Oh god, those Taka bastards injecting her daughter with this crap. The thought of it made her sick to her stomach. If any of them laid a finger on her little girl they'd regret it. And if she wasn't the one whose wrath they suffered, then it was going to be Naruto's, which was far worse. In speaking of whom, her husband was sitting in the far corner of the room fuming in his own anger as he pondered everything that he now had on his plate. An evil revolutionary group had infiltrated his village right under his nose. Hell, as far back as Kakashi-sensei's reign, have done the same thing to the other 4 great shinobi nations. He and his wife were set up as wanted criminals. Their friends were out hunting for them. Their daughter was missing, and his best friend, who may or may not be the mastermind of this whole conspiracy, was currently in possession of his son and using him to recover an ultimate weapon. Suffice to say, Naruto was not in a good mood. Ah, this is a waste of time. We should be going to find Shinachiku. Naruto, Sakura said, we need to be patient. I'm scared too, but if we can find an antidote to this serum then it will be that much better for the both of us, and besides, aren't you the one who said that we'd be leading more trouble his way if we went to go find him? That was before I knew Taka was trying to take over the world. Naruto, Sasuke's not a part of this. I would have expected you of all people to have more faith in him than that. Naruto put his head in his hand and sighed aloud. I know, I feel so helpless, lost, confused. All these questions that need answering and no telling how many people we know are a part of Taka. For the first time in years I don't know what I should do or who I can trust. Sakura left her workstation and went over to her husband, crouched down to take his bandaged hand in hers. You can trust me. That was actually enough to raise the blonde-haired man's spirits a little bit. Thank you, Sakura. I love you. I love you too. And Quat. She gave him a quick peck on the lips. How romantic. The couple turned to see the source of the voice, making Naruto scowl. What do you want? I just figured I'd check in, Kabuto said, maybe offer some help if you needed it. I have to admit that it's nice to have some company for a change. It can get so lonely when you're in a place all by yourself, but you know all about being alone, don't you, Naruto? Naruto stood up. Get out of here. We don't need your help. Wait, Sakura said, putting a hand on her husband's chest to hold him back. Actually, your medical expertise might be of help right now. Naruto was stunned. Sakura? Naruto, I've been at this for hours now and I'm barely making any progress. We're going to need all the help we can get. And quad. She turned to face Kabuto one more time. But make no mistake, if you do anything to undermine us, or make any move against us, then we will kill you, and you know full well that we can. Do I make myself clear? Kabuto merely smirked. Completely. Now then, shall we get to work? After coming to an understanding, Shinachiku and Taka, the original Taka, finished eating their breakfast, packed up their things, and stood at the edge of the cliff overlooking the ocean and the island where the ruins of the Uzushiogakure lay. With merely a nod to one another, the group all leap off the high cliff and, focusing their chakra into the bottom of their feet, they landed on the surface of the water and ran across it towards the island. Sasuke led the way with Karen close behind him. Shinachiku and Sarada, since they were now going to be partners in the locating of the gem itself, ran side by side. Suigetsu and Hugo were behind them, and Randamu was covering the rear. Within minutes the group had made it to the shore of the island. This place feels haunted, Shinachiku noted. I know, Karen agreed, it's like the souls of all those that lived here still haunt this site, unable to find rest. I know that's not really true, but all these ruined buildings and homes, it makes you feel uneasy. Aunt Karen, were you there when? No, I was born afterwards and grew up elsewhere along with the other few survivors of our clan. This place was destroyed in war while your grandmother was still just a girl. You mean when she moved to Konoha to become Kurama's Jinchuriki? Yes, it was either shortly before or shortly after that. I'm really not sure which. Hey you two, Sasuke called out, let's stick to the plan. With that, the group walked away from the shore and headed further inwards towards the center of the island. As they walked, Shinachiku found himself getting curious about the rest of Sasuke's teammates. Hey Suigetsu? Yeah, what is it kid? The purple-clad, shark-toothed swordsman asked rudely. I was just wondering why, after the war ended, you never tried going back to Kirigakure? As one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, wouldn't the Mizukage be willing to invite you back into their ranks? Well, I'm not sure what Chojuro would have to say about that. I've only met him in passing during to war when he was still just a kid. But as for why I didn't go back, I don't know. Joining the 7 swordsmen was always mine and my brother's dream, but after he died I made it my goal to collect all 7 of their swords to rebuild them from the ground up as their new leader. I guess I still want that, but for some reason when your bastard godfather asked me to come with him on his stupid redemption quest, I couldn't say no, although I probably should have. At least that way I would have to deal with his wife's outbursts anymore. The so-called second coming of the demon was knocked on the head by Karen. Hey watch it. Shinachiku turned to Hugo next. What about you Hugo? Why are you here? Well, the orange-haired man started. When I was young I was prone to rage. In fact I even destroyed an entire village once because I lost control. I ran away into caves to seclude myself until I met my friend Kimimaro. When he died I didn't know what else I had. Years later Sasuke, the very person my friend died trying to recover for Orochimaru, tried to recruit me to track down Itachi and I refused. But there was something about Sasuke's killer intent that frightened me, so I ended up joining Hebi as he called it then. So why are you here now? The boy asked again. Because I've grown loyal to Sasuke. He reminds me of Kimimaro, and he is able to help me stay balanced and maintain control of myself. But kid, I need you to promise me something. What's that? Don't make me angry, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Shinachiku was suddenly feeling creeped out. Okay, sure. Hey kid, Randamu interrupted, you wanna hear my story too? Not really, no. Whatever, I didn't feel like telling it anyway. The group made it to a cliff overlooking the sea. There was a tall statue of what seemed to be a woman from the Uzumaki clan with long flowing hair and her hands clasped together over her heart. Okay, Sasuke began, according to my sources, this statue is some sort of beacon that will reveal the location of the chakra gem to someone with Uzumaki blood inside them. How? Shinachiku asked. Do you see that hole cut into the base of the statue? The Uchiha pointed to said hole, large enough to fit a person's hand through. A person need only put their hand in there in order to offer up a sampling of blood to prove their ancestry. Whoa, wait a minute. The boy panicked. What's going to happen to my hand when I put it in there? Is it going to get chopped off of something? No, Karen answered, It's just going to prick your finger and take a drop or two of blood. The boy looked back at the statue in worry. I don't know, Aunt Karen. What if your sources are wrong? What if something really bad happens? Fine, Sasuke said in irritation. Sarada, put your hand in the hole please. Hi. And Quat. The girl walked over to the statue and was about to put her hand inside, when she felt a hand grasp her arm. Wait. Shinachiku had stopped her and his voice called everybody's attention. I'll do it. The boy stuck his hand in the hole, biting his lip for whatever pain he was about to feel. He felt a quick prick of his index finger just like Karen said. Ow. The boy quickly yanked his hand out of the hole and put his finger in his mouth to seal up the wound. He turned to Sasuke. So what now? Just wait. Within seconds, the statue started to glow with a faint red light. The statue's arms moved away from its heart and stretched outwards toward the company. As its hands moved, they revealed that they had been covering some sort of crystal from which the red light came from. The group were entranced by what they were seeing, especially the boy. They all watched as the red light shined out from the crystal and over the landscape of the island. Now this light will point us to where the chakra gem is buried, Sasuke explained. The light moved across the island, passing over ruined buildings and homes, rivers and woodlands, until finally, the light passed over the water and stopped right in the middle of the ocean. The entire company all had the same simultaneous reaction. Kabuto and Sakura were still hard at work on trying to find an antidote, when they all suddenly heard what sounded like a frog croaking. What the heck? Sakura asked. It sounds like the toad sage is receiving a visit from one of his friends, Kabuto remarked. Don't look at me, I didn't summon any toads today, Naruto replied. The croaking got louder as a small, red toad came hopping down the stairs until it landed right at Naruto's feet. The toad must have been moving for a while because it looked very out of breath. Yo, are you Naruto Uzumaki? Yes. The toad pointed its hand over to the pink-haired woman, and is that your wife? Yes. And Quat. Sakura confirmed in confusion. Oh, thank God. I've searching all day for you too. I had to hop here all the way from the edge of the Fire County overlooking the sea. Well, it's nice to meet you, I guess, Naruto replied, still confused. But why were you looking for me and Sakura? The toad cleared its throat. I was summoned by your son. Both parents instantly bolted to attention. You saw Shinachiku? Yep. He was at the cliff overlooking the eastern sea last night. Sakura, who had moved next to her husband, turned to him. Then he must be at the island where your mother's village was already. Yeah, well. The toad interrupted uncomfortably. The kid summoned me to deliver a message, but before he told me anything I had to let him know that both of you were on the run. Naruto and Sakura couldn't help the frowns that appeared on their faces. Did he say anything? Sakura asked in worry. He seemed pretty upset, and he was really worried about his sister. Sakura covered her mouth with her hand as tears started falling. Naruto hung his head. What was my son's message? Naruto asked. Well, he summoned me for that reason, but before he could tell me anything, Sasuke Uchiha showed up and the boy accused him of being in on everything. The one-armed jerk then promised he'd give the kid answers before he knocked him out cold. He then told me to come find you to let you know that he has your son and he's safe, but that you two need to have a talk. Naruto clenched both of his fists as rage. That's alright, I have some things I need to speak to him about anyway. We both do, Sakura said in anger. Where is he? Not sure, but I have to assume he's in the same place I last saw him. If not, then he may have gone to the island you were talking about. Okay, fine. And Quat. Naruto declared. Sakura, you stay here and finish the antidotes with Kabuto. I'll go track down Sasuke and Shinachiku. Not a chance. Sakura defied. You're my husband and Shina's my son too. I'm sticking with you. But Sakura, what about? Oh, don't worry about it. I can keep working on this for you too. I don't mind really. Gives me something to do. They both turned to Kabuto, who didn't seem to be in any low spirits about this new situation, nor could Naruto pick up any deceptive thoughts from him. The former 7th Hokage walked up to the Snake Sanin's former apprentice and merely nodded and said, Thank you. You're welcome. So, don't you have a son to go find? Oh, right. Come on Sakura, let's go. Hi. His wife agreed. I guess I'll lead you two to their location then, the toad offered. Thanks, Naruto said, but you've been moving for a long time already and are clearly out of breath. We can find our way there ourselves. Thank you for all your help. You're welcome. It's been an honor to serve you and your son, sir. I hope you can kick that Uchiha bastard's ass. With that, the toad dispelled itself and the two lovers were running hastily back up the stairs to exit the compound. All the while Kabuto got back to work on the antidotes to the mysterious serums. They finally made it outside and were just about to start running east towards the sea, when all of a sudden a kunai was thrown at Naruto's feet. The kunai was not meant to do any damage to the blonde but rather to get his attention. which it succeeded in as both he and Sakura looked up into the woods before them. In the treetops was a squad of 10 elite jonin: Sai, Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka and his nin dog Akamaru, Shino Aburame, Rock Lee, Tenten, and their assigned leader, Captain Odaku. Lord 7th Hokage, the rugged-faced Anbu leader said, "By the power vested in both me and my team by Councilman Aragi of the Hidden Leaf Village, you and your wife are under arrest." And quote. Chapter 16, Partners, get out of our way, Odaku, the former Hokage demanded. "We don't have time for this. You're in no position to be giving me orders anymore, Uzumaki," Odaku retorted. "We are under orders from Councilman Aragi to bring both of you in and we are not leaving here without you." Something clicked in Naruto's mind. Aragi? That son of a bitch. He's Taka. "Tell you what, Captain," Naruto said, "you can go back to the village and deliver a message for us. Tell that scumbag that if he wants to do us in, he can come here and do his own dirty work. Watch your mouth, traitor. You've no right to speak of the interim Hokage that way." Naruto merely smirked. "Wrong, Odaku, the only traitor I see here is you." Odaku showed no emotion on his face. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yeah, sure you don't. But it doesn't matter now anyway. Right now Sakura and I have to go find our son before we have an even bigger problem on our hands." Naruto and Sakura were about to take off east towards the ocean without another word, when they suddenly felt some sort of force holding them in place. Looking at their feet they saw a shadow cast on the ground and extending from their feet all the way up into the trees. Neither of them needed to guess where the shadow was coming from. "What are you doing, Shikamaru?" Sakura asked. "Guys, please don't make this harder on yourselves," Shikamaru advised. "Just tell us what is going on and we'll see if we can. This isn't a negotiation, Nara." Odaku shouted. "Our orders are to bring the traitors back dead or alive. They can explain themselves when they're on trial, if there even is a trial." The rest of the retrieval party looked to each other in silent conversation, debating internally about what their next, best course of action ought to be. "Captain," Sai interrupted, "would it not be more prudent to interrogate the prisoners while we are here? We already have them captured in a shadow possession jutsu after all." "Negative, Captain Sai. As I've already said, our orders are to locate and capture, no questions asked." But Captain Hinata tried interjecting. "No questions asked." The icy cold glare the Anbu captain gave the Hyuga heiress actually made her feel uneasy, thereby making her husband quite angry. "Hey, don't you talk to my wife like that," Kiba shouted. "Watch it, Inuzuka, or do you and your mutt both want to be stayed and neutered right now?" Kiba growled in defiance, as did Akamaru, but neither did anything further beyond that. "You guys, please," Sakura pleaded. "Our son is out there right now and Naruto and I are afraid he may be in terrible danger. We have to find him." Odaku raised an eyebrow. "Oh really? Then why aren't you heading his way right now instead of us finding you in the middle of the Hidden Sound Village, exiting one of Orochimaru's secret laboratories? Not exactly a place an innocent former Kage would take refuge." Sakura sighed. "Well, that's a little harder to explain. I think we've heard enough of this," Odaku dismissed. "Yamanaka, paralyze their minds so we can take them back now." Ino got into the recognizable hand sign of her clan, but that was all she was doing. After stealing a quick nod to her husband, she got into the pose for her clan's mind destruction jutsu, but in truth she was actually projecting her consciousness outwards to read her friends' minds. The scattered images that Ino saw left her stunned and confused. The assassin who attacked them at their wedding, when she saw that assassin die before her, Naruto and Sakura's son going off on his mission with Sasuke, Odaku himself presenting a mysterious scroll to Naruto, Sakura pumping a clear blue fluid out of a heart attack victim's blood, Naruto's own ninja attacking him, Sakura's own hospital staff attacking her, their daughter missing, themselves on the run, meeting with Kabuto in this place. So many images, so many questions that needed answering. But there was a word that kept popping up over and over again in both of their minds, one that, with Naruto and Sakura saying Shinachiku was in danger, gave the platinum blonde Kunoichi a sense of dread. Taka. Using her clan's jutsu, Ino projected her thoughts into the minds of all of her comrades, minus her captain. "Guys," Ino shouted physically, "we have to help Sakura and Naruto get out of here. They need to find Shinachiku. Now." There wasn't much argument going on in the heads of the 9 jonin. They all came here to get answers and to help their friends, and if they had to betray their superiors to do it then so be it. As soon as Ino transferred the images she saw into everyone else's minds, they all knew that quick action was needed. "Okay," Shikamaru said to the others telepathically thanks to Ino's jutsu, "here's the plan." "Yamanaka," Odaku shouted, "what are you waiting for?" "Gomen, Captain." Ino said. "I'll do it now, mind destruction jutsu." Ino made the hand signs and said the words, but neither Naruto nor Sakura were a comatose vegetable lying on the forest floor. "What?" Odaku asked in confusion. He then felt a sting on the back of his neck. Ow! He slapped the back of his neck and found that a bug had stunned him. What the hell? A special kind of insect, Shino clarified to get the Onbu's attention. Its bite leaves a sense of disorientation and weakness that takes hold in a fairly quick and debilitating manner. Traitor, Odaku yelled, his head already feeling dizzy. You dare defy your village to aid these traitors? You think that some bug bite would be enough to stop me? As he said this, the groggy Onbu captain was charging up his chakra into his hand as electricity charged into it, creating a mini storm of electricity around his arm. No, I don't, Shino answered, that's why I'm getting some help from a friend. The Onbu, struggling to stay focused, readied a deadly chakra technique that he had learned from the former 6th Hokage himself. Lightning style, lightning cut egg. His attack was ready, but Odaku never got the opportunity to use it as he felt a precise but deadly blow to the back, followed by several more in rapid succession. The speed of these blows was almost a blur and they were all aimed specifically at the nodes in his body's chakra pathway system. Odaku knew that there was only one person on his team that could be doing this, and yet the effects of the insect's poison sting was making it too hard for him to counter-attack as his lightning cutter jutsu was already dissipating. Gentle fist style, 8 trigrams 64 palms. Hinata kept going until all 64 blows were made to her captain's chakra system. By the time she was done, the blocked pathways mixed with the insect's poison left the Jonin level shinobi unable to stand. You, Lady Hyuga, you, traitorous, bitch ... and quat. Odaku cursed as he was passing out, but he didn't get to fall asleep on his own as he received a massive blow right to the neck that could knock anyone out light a light, followed by one last punch to the face. Hinata scowled in anger. I have a first name, asshole, all of us do, and mine is Hinata. Naruto and Sakura could only stare at what they have just seen in confusion and disbelief, especially Naruto. You know what? Naruto thought to himself with an exaggerated expression on his face as he cupped the cheek she had slapped decades before. I'd almost forgotten how scary Hinata can be when she gets angry. Hinata turned to the two fugitives standing on the forest floor below and quickly leapt down to them. She didn't hesitate to envelop Naruto in a bone-crushing hug. Naruto, I'm so glad you're safe. I'm okay, Hinata, really. And quat. The blonde awkwardly wrapped his arms around the lavender-haired Hyuga princess, but he couldn't resist stealing a glance at his wife just to make sure she wouldn't overact. Hinata seemed to catch on to this and broke off the hug in a panic. Oh god. Sakura, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. It's okay, Hinata, I understand. And quat. Sakura could hold back a light chuckle as she said that. The rest of their friends jumped down from the treetops to greet them. Kiba walked up to his wife and shared an understanding glance with Naruto. Kiba, Hinata said, I'm really sorry you had to see that. I swear I wasn't. Hey, it's alright. I understand. I'm happy he's safe too. Now come here. The canine shinobi slammed his lips onto Hinata's, who soon wrapped her arms around the feral ninja and she embraced the kiss. Get a room, you two, Shino told them in a very uncharacteristic moment of humor. It was enough to force the married couple to break apart and blush in embarrassment. Naruto, Sakura, thank goodness we have found you safe and sound. Lee proclaimed in his usual overly energetic tone. Yeah, we all worried about you too, Tenten concurred with her husband. It's great to see all you guys. And quat. Naruto said. Ino quickly ran over to her best friend and both women shared a loving hug. I'm so glad you're okay, forehead, Ino said on the verge of tears. I'm fine, thanks pig, Sakura said with total politeness. Indeed, it is most fortunate that the circumstances of this reunion were not more costly, Sai interjected. Shorter sentences next time, Sai, geez. Naruto mocked, but thanks a lot. And quat. The two former teammates smiled and shook hands. It was at this point, however, that Shikamaru had to interject. Hey, this is all well and good and all, but technically speaking you two are still wanted criminals from Konoha and we all committed an act of treason to help you. Now Odaku's likely not going to wake up for a while, so maybe now's the time for you both to tell us what the hell is going on. I wish we could, Shikamaru, Sakura answered, but right now Naruto and I need to go find Shinachiku. His life could be at risk. Listen guys, Naruto spoke to all of his friends at once, I'm not sure what you've all been told about me and Sakura, but I give all of you my word that it isn't true. We know. And quat. Choji said. You do? Yeah, Shino concurred. What we don't know is what's really going on, or what those images Ino projected into our brains mean. Images? Sakura asked confused. Yeah, I used my clan's techniques to tap into your memories and project them among the 9 of us. You mean like how you helped us all to share what Naruto was feeling during the war? Yep. Naruto thought about it. He needed to go find his son, but he didn't just want to abandon his friends and leave them with no information. Besides, if Taka was as deeply entrenched in the village as Kabuto said, then he was going to need as many friends as he could get. Okay, tell you what, how about me and Sakura tell you what you want to know and then you can come with us to help us find our son? Why do you think you'll need all of us just for that? Shikamaru asked. Because Sakura and I have found something out and I need people at my side I know I can trust. Shinachiku, Sarada, and the rest of Taka, the original Taka, were staring out towards the sea as the light of the statue pointed them to the ocean depths where the chakra stone supposedly lay. What now? Shinachiku asked. Sasuke wasn't fazed. You and Sarada swim down there and get the gem, what else? But honey, Karen interjected, what are they going to do for air? Yeah, and that water is probably really cold, Hugo added. Maybe you should just let me take care of this, Suigetsu suggested. After all, water is my element. Sasuke's tone did not change. You don't have the bloodline needed to break the seal guarding the gem. They do. Okay, so what's the plan? Sarada asked. Sasuke pulled out a small scroll. Release. The scroll opened and out popped two small devices that looked like they could be held inside a person's mouth. I was curious about whether the Uzumaki clan might have done something like this, so I packed these just in case. Each of the kids took one of the devices as Shinachiku asked, what are they? Miniaturized rebreathers, Sasuke explained. Hold them in your mouth and they can provide you with an oxygen source for a limited amount of time. But don't waste any time. If you can't find the treasure before your oxygen runs out, both of you come back to the surface immediately. Got it, Dad, Sarada said. Yes sir, Uncle Sasuke, Shinachiku said. You kids please be careful, Karen told them worriedly. There's no telling what you might find down there. And Sarada, remember your fire style techniques to help keep yourself warm. I will, Mom. Hey, what about me, Aunt Karen? Shinachiku asked. I don't know the Uchiha clan's fire style techniques. Karen's eyes widened slightly. Oh, yeah, Sarada, please do what you can for Shinachiku in case he gets cold. Well and quat. Sarada thought aloud while blushing. I guess I could try warming him with my body heat. The raven-haired girl spoke so quietly that the blonde-haired boy couldn't hear her. Did you say something, Sarada? And nothing. It took every ounce of control the girl had to keep from blushing as red as a tomato, especially after noticing the sly, knowing smirk her own mother was giving her. Hey, if we're gonna do this then these kids should probably get down there quick, Suigetsu advised. The water's gonna be that much colder if they wait until nightfall. Agreed, Sasuke said. He then turned to the two children. I know I'm not the easiest person to work with, and I know I don't show my gratitude very easily, but I am really proud of you kids for doing this. Sasuke turned to his best friend's son, his godson, and looked him in the eyes. I'm sorry I haven't been more open with you about this mission, Shinachiku, but thank you for trusting me now. Thank you, Uncle Sasuke, and I'm sorry for getting angry with you. I should have trusted you. Haven't you been listening to what I've said? I'm the one who was in the wrong here. You followed your instincts and remained defensive, like any smart shinobi should. You're going to make a great ninja someday, kid. Just like my dad? Sasuke actually smiled as he ruffled the boy's golden hair. Yeah, just like the Dobi. Sasuke moved over to Sarada, his only daughter, his only child, his pride and joy. Sarada, I don't pretend to be the world's greatest father. I've taken you and your mother on so many of my redemption missions that you've hardly had time to enjoy your youth and be with your friends, and for that I am sorry. Dad, I know you've always had a bond with your godfather and godmother, and I understand that. Naruto's shown you nothing but compassion and affection whenever he's seen you while I can be so cold. Dad, and I know I'm a horrible parent for sending my own daughter down into the dark, cold ocean depths just to find an all-powerful artifact that could endanger the whole world. Dad. Sasuke stopped as his daughter yelled at him. I'll be fine, don't worry. You and Mom taught me well. And you're right, I do love Uncle Naruto, but you're my father, and I love you too. Something came over Sasuke and he actually embraced his daughter in a hug. Shinachiku and Karen smiled at the scene, while Suigetsu and Hugo looked on surprised. Randamu on the other hand had to ruin the scene with his usual sense of humor. Aw, it's a Kodak moment. Sasuke pulled away in embarrassment as he reassumed his usual stoic demeanor. Well then, I guess it's time. And quat. But the Uchiha stopped himself as he looked over the cliff of the mountain to the ocean. He sighed, in truth kids, I do not know what you'll find down there, good or bad. You don't have to go if you don't want to. There's no shame in turning back. Uncle Sasuke, please. Shinachiku interrupted. I promised I would do this, so I at least have to try. Sasuke put on another of his usual smirks. You've got your father's courage all right, kid. And quat. The boy smiled big and wide. Be careful kids, you never know what you might find out at sea, Randamu interrupted. I remember one time, when I was a younger man, I was under siege by a band of bloodthirsty pirates all seeking some treasure. My only backup was another crew of pirates that came our way. They were sailing on a ship that looked like it had a sun symbol on its bow, and its Jolly Roger was a skull and crossbones with a straw hat on it. Their captain was a boy with a loud mouth that could stretch his body like rubber enough. Randamu. Karen shouted. How many times do I have to tell you that nobody believes your ridiculous story about straw hat pirates? Seriously, a crew made up of a rubber man for a captain, a guy that fights with 3 swords for a first mate, 2 stupidly, impossibly well-endowed women for a navigator and archaeologist, a sniper with a Pinocchio nose, a womanizing cook, a doctor that's a talking reindeer, a cyborg shipwright, and a perverted living skeleton that's also a musician. What kind of idiots do you take us for? It could happen, Randamu said, defeated. Sasuke sighed in irritation as he turned back to the kids. Okay then, good luck to both of you. Hi. Both Shinon shouted. With that, both children ran away from the rest of the group back to shore. Once they finally made it to the beach, they each channeled chakra into their feet so they could run on the surface of the water. They kept running until they each got to the spot where the statue's light pointed them to. The kids shared a look at each other. You ready for this? Shinachiku asked. Yeah, you? Sarada asked. Yeah, let's do this. Both of them put their rebreathers in their mouths and gave each other one last nod. Then, in unison, they each stopped the chakra flow going through their feet and plummeted into the water. From the island, the adults all watched as the kids went below the surface to find their prize. None of them were sure what to say, until guess who finally broke the ice? Well, I guess we can't see them anymore. And quad. Randamu commented. Sasuke scowled. No, we can't. Don't start crying, Karen, or else you may get waterlogged. A vein appeared on Karen's forehead. I won't, thanks. Randamu then started again. It's a pity we didn't get to wave them goodbye. Oh god. Suigetsu moaned. Hey Hugo, the masked loudmouth continued, you ever had the story about the evil tuna? The burliest member of Taka shook his head in annoyance. Well, let's just say, he was rotten to the albacore. Sasuke quickly put his sword to Randamu's throat. Will you please, for God's sake, shut the hell up? You remember that my head can be reattached, so what are you? Let's just say that you make one more joke, I'll cut off the one body part that may not grow back. Randamu needed no further encouragement and he crossed his legs in fear. Shutting up now. Tsunade was in a safe house, away from her usual residence, in a safe place where neither Aragi or his Anbu Black Ops could find her. Shizune was with her, having come to her and several of her friends with what she had overheard inside Aragi's office. She was worried about Hanami Uzumaki, Naruto and Sakura's daughter. Naruto was the closest thing Tsunade would ever have to a son, and Sakura was the greatest pupil she ever trained. No offense to Shizune. She had hoped for years that the two of them would wake up and realize their love for each other, and she could not have been prouder when it finally happened. Not only was she one of the guests at their wedding, but she personally delivered both of their children. Suffice to say, she was pretty close to the Uzumaki kids and was not pleased to learn that someone had taken young Hanami. The 5th Hokage was broken out of her thoughts when she heard a knock at the door. She signaled Shizune to go deal with it. Shizune went over to the door and spoke through it. Password? A voice on the other side answered, Jiraiya. Shizune opened the door and was greeted with her friends, and several surprise guests. Kakashi, what are these kids doing here? The silver-haired former Kage answered, we found them inside the secret panic room beneath Naruto and Sakura's house. It looks like they all had the same idea as we did because look who they found. Kakashi stepped aside to reveal Hanami, who was still being carried by Yamato and Konohamaru, with help from some of the kids. Shizune was horrified at the sight of the girl's condition. Oh my god. Shizune quickly went to Hanami and started examining her injuries. Lady Tsunade, come quick. The old medical ninja went over to the group and had the same look of horror at the poor girl's state. Oh god, lay her down. They did as they were told and helped the pink-haired girl lay down on the floor. Tsunade rolled up her sleeves and her hands started glowing with green chakra. She proceeded to start healing her former student's only daughter. What happened? Tsunade demanded of everyone. Yamato answered for everyone. She says she got attacked by a pair of Anbu the day her parents fled the village. She was able to use the last of her chakra to trick them into taking a shadow clone as their prisoner in her place, but not before they gave her a savage beating first. What do you mean the last of her chakra? According to the kids, Konohamaru said, one of the Anbu restrained her as her class was being escorted to a safe zone and they injected some mysterious red drug into her bloodstream. Both Tsunade and Shizune reacted in terror. What? Yeah, Suki said, whatever it was, it totally blocked off her chakra pathway system. Creating that clone they took with them took the last bit of chakra she had before she lost it all completely. Tsunade turned to the girl she was healing. Hanami, why didn't you come and find me? Or Shizune? We could have helped you. Hanami struggled to explain, those bad men that attacked me, they were my daddy's ninjas. If I couldn't trust them then you didn't know who you could trust, Shizune finished for her. So you ran to the panic room beneath your house and waited there ever since, Tsunade said in understanding. Hanami was on the verge of tears. I'm sorry, I got scared. Shh, that doesn't matter now. Tsunade exclaimed. What matters is that you're here now and that you get healed. As the Sannin continued healing her patient, she looked up to face the children that helped find her. You kids did a great thing by finding her. If she had waited in that room for any longer she could have died from her injuries. But what were all of you doing down there in the first place? We all felt that there was something amiss ever since Lord Hokage and his wife fled the village as criminals, Shikadai explained. Not to mention that it all happened so soon after Shinachiku left on his mission with Sarada's dad. With our parents all outside the village looking for them, we decided that if there was some conspiracy going on we'd need to look into it ourselves. That was a very foolish thing for you kids to do. Tsunade yelled. You could have gotten yourselves killed and then no one, not even your parents, would have known about it. We're sorry 5th Hokage, Tsuki said. We were only doing what we thought was right, especially after we realized that we hadn't seen Hanami since that day. Lady Tsunade, if I may? Kakashi interjected. These kids did show an impressive level of proactive planning and decision-making for their age and experience. If not for their investigation, Hanami's location may have never been found and the girl might have been lost. Be that as it may, Kakashi, the buxom blonde Sannin retorted, they were still getting in far over their heads, and if it wasn't for you, Yamato and Konohamaru coincidentally following up a similar lead, I doubt that these kids would have gotten out of that panic room alive. She turned to face the 7 children before her with authoritative sternness, but still with a clear hint of appreciation and pity in her eyes. I'm sorry kids, but I'm going to have to report your activities to your parents and guardians. What? Okami shouted. Uh-oh. Chacho yelped. Oh no. Suki panicked. Well, this is unfortunate, Inojin noted. Indeed, we are in a most precarious situation despite our heroic deed, Barandon commented. Bagu merely glanced over at the green-clad Jinan. What he said. Shikadai did not say anything aloud, but internally he was panicking. Oh crap. My mom's going to kill me when she finds out about this. This is such a drag. Yes, Tsunade said, and let me tell you kids that many of your parents may be away from home, but they'll be back soon enough and after what you all have done they are in for the shock of their lives. The 9 shinobi just received the shock of their lives. Naruto and Sakura had just told them the terrible truth that Taka had infiltrated not only Konoha but the other 5 great shinobi villages as well. Taka, Sasuke's old team, was back and up to something even worse than ever before, and if Sasuke really was involved, then he was likely using Naruto and Sakura's own son as a means to an end. God damn it, I knew that Uchiha bastard was hiding something. Shikamaru cursed. I warned you that this whole mission was a hoax, Naruto. Why didn't you use your common sense instead of playing right into his hand? Shikamaru, Hinata started. Naruto only did what he believed was right. Sasuke is his best friend. There's no way he could have known. Don't go making excuses for him, Hinata. He chose to trust a traitor and a deserter and now we all are paying the price for it. Don't you snap at my wife like that, you lazy bastard. Kiba growled. To be perfectly fair, Shino interjected, this Taka infiltration, if it is indeed real, dates back well before Naruto's reign as Hokage ever started. This conspiracy slipped beneath all of our notice, yours included, Shikamaru. We cannot blame Naruto for everything here. Shikamaru looked at the Aburame and groaned, man, being wrong about things is such a drag. And quat. He turned to his old friend, I'm sorry Naruto, but it's okay Shika, Naruto assured him, it's in the past. Right now we need to figure out what to do about Taka, and the first thing me and Sakura agreed to do is to go to the remains of the hidden whirlpool village and catch up with our son. And Sasuke. And quat. Sai clearly meant that as a statement, not a question. Yes. And quat. Naruto said, almost lost. Do not worry Naruto, Lee shouted in his usual overly energetic demeanor. We have yours and Sakura's back and we'll fight this Taka conspiracy together. He ended his proclamation with his signature nice guy pose, complete with thumbs up. Kenten smiled at her husband's goofy antics, but was fully on board with him for his determination. Yeah, we're all in this together now. Ino suddenly got a somewhat uncharacteristic sense of determination. I'm not going to let my best friend face this all on her own, or let her son get hurt, Sasuke or not. Ino. And quat. Sakura felt touched by her best friend's loyalty to her. And I cannot abandon my wife or the first 2 people I ever came to consider friends, Sai smiled. I will join your mission too. Yeah, count me in, Choji declared. Me too, Kiba declared, while Akamaru barked enthusiastically. I would follow you anywhere Naruto, Hinata said, I'll be more than happy help you find Shinachiku. I guess I'm coming too, Shino shrugged. Shikamaru was silent for a moment, then he moaned, oh what the hell, I'm in too. Naruto almost had tears in his eyes as all of his friends swore their allegiance to him. He knew for certain that, even if it turned out everyone else in the village was plotting against him, at least the friends standing before him now were going to be there at his side through thick and thin. When Naruto was growing up, he was hated by everyone. He was desperate for friends and had spent years building bonds with all of them. And now look where he was. He was so lucky to have earned friends like them. Thank you guys, you don't know how much this means to me. Sakura, for no other reason than to show how much she loved him and that she would always be there for him, grabbed Naruto's head and turned it to face her, then gave him a soft kiss on the lips. You'll always have me too, sweetie. One question though, Shikamaru interrupted. You said that Kabuto had agreed to work on an antidote to these 2 serums you told us about. Why are you two willing to trust him with this, of all people? Well, to be perfectly honest, we don't, Sakura answered. If I had it my way I'd be developing the antidote myself, but Naruto and I both agreed that finding Shinachiku is more important right now. Besides, he didn't have to tell us anything about Taka, but he did, Naruto said. I don't know why, but that means something. Shikamaru rolled his eyes in skepticism, but didn't press the issue. So, I guess we're going to teleport there with your flying thunder god technique? I wish we could, said Naruto, but I've never been to the land of whirlpools so I don't have any markers set up there, so we're going to have to go on foot. Well, what are we waiting for then? Kiba asked. Let's get moving. Naruto got a determined look on his face, resembling the determined leader they all knew. Right, let's go, all of us. No more words needed to be said. The 11 shinobi took off towards the east, the Leaf's orange Hokage in the lead, like old times. Just hang in there, son, Naruto thought. Your parents are on their way. Just stay out of hot water until we get there. God, this water is cold. Shinachiku thought. He and Sarada were underwater, swimming around looking for something. They both knew that they were in the spot where the chakra gem was buried, but they only realized after they dived down there that they weren't even aware of what they were looking for. Was the gem resting on the ocean floor? Was it locked inside some treasure chest? Was it something else entirely? The darkness level down there didn't make things any easier. They kept swimming, down and down, remaining vigilant and looking for anything. Eventually, Sarada noticed a strange shape down below. She tugged on Shinichiku's sleeve and pointing him towards it. It looked like, no, it couldn't be, could it? It looked like a cave, an underwater cave. What were the odds? As soon as the kids saw it, they quickly started swimming towards the cave. They swam into the cave and found themselves swimming down a dark tunnel. Forward they went until they finally reached the end of the tunnel. There was an opening above their heads so they could pop up and get a fresh breath. After surfacing, they found that they were in an open cave, darkly lit, with a big open area that allowed for a pocket of air. There was a rocky walkway that led further into the interior of this place. No doubt that this might be the place where the gem was hidden. The kids nodded and took out their rebreathers. They got out of the water and Sarada quickly used her fireball jutsu to create a small fire for her and Shinachiku to warm up by. Shinachiku had read somewhere to rub his chest, and his arms and legs would warm up from there. During this, Sarada tried to sit closer to Shinachiku, so close that their skin touched. Both of them noticed the skin contact and found themselves staring into each other's eyes, then they pulled back out of embarrassment, but both of them still blushing. Sorry, Sarada said as she dried all the water off of her glasses. It's okay, Shinachiku replied. So, you ready to head down there? Yeah, she said as she put her glasses back on. Let's do this. With that, Shinachiku picked up a stick of wood that he found on the ground and handed it to Sarada. She used her fireball jutsu to light the stick like a torch. Once it was lit, Shinachiku took the torch as the two of them started walking down the rocky walkway into the cave where the chakra gem lay waiting. Well, it seems like you've made it to the end of part 5 too. What if Naruto and Sakura had a child? But anyways, I hope all of you guys enjoyed and I wish all of you a wonderful day/night. Bye.